Indeedy. Peace, Brother Dooley, aka the Beantown Ghetto Shaman. Chilling, doing my thing. It's been a while since I did a video. I'm up here early in the morning at a good, wonderful mound place that was built on some great energy. Was created here. I'm looking for my rapé pipe, man. I sat down for a minute, and then this person sat down near me, and I was like, yo, I got to concentrate on what I'm talking here. And I put my rapé pipe down, and it just disappeared. So I was like, oh, boy, let me find my thing before I get started. And it was just like my son yesterday. I took him to the park. He put his little Batman toy down. And somebody making comments already? Let's just get right down to it. If I can't find it out here, then guess what? It's meant to be. And guess what? Someone said something about shrooms, right? We need to shroom. All right. Great rising. Right. I see some shroomies out here. Growing out here, actually. Y'all see these? They awesome. I don't know where my rapé pipe went. Oh well. I guess somebody, will find it and they'll have a good time with it. Regardless, I'm going to do a little chant for y'all and then I'm going to get started because I have a lot of things I got to talk to y'all about. All right. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone's been at peace with themselves and doing their thing. I'm going to do a little song for y'all before we get started. A little chant. You know what I mean? Just to start your day, evening, or whatever time you're listening to this right now. So let me get started with that. I brought a gong out here with me. And, yeah. So I'm going to give up looking for this little rapé pipe right now. Can't find it. Oh, well. It's all good. All right. Yeah. But let's get started. Okay. So. Na ho ma ye na he o na ya. Na ho ye o mo he o na ya. Na he o ma he o na ya. Na he o yo no he ya na ya. Na he o no he ya na ya. Ma he o no he ya na ya. Na ye o no ya na ya. Na ye o na ya na ya. Yo na ye o na ya. Na ye o ya na ya. Na ye o ya na ya. Oh ya o ne yo o na ya. Na ye o no na ya. Na ye o ya na ya. Greetings, Earthlings, wonderful people of planet Earth and beyond. My name is Brother Dooley once again. Some people call me the Beantown Ghetto Shaman. I'm just trying to figure out myself. You dig? Did you bring Gargoyle with you to Boston? A gargoyle, huh? Wow. Okay, what do you mean by that? Did you bring the gargoyle with you to Boston? I don't know. I don't know about gargoyle, but whoever he is, or are you talking about the gargoyles that are on the buildings there above the churches or whatever? But it's an interesting question. Thank you. And I got a prayer for you too. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. He Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahman. Malik iyo midin. Iyo kana pudu wa i. Yaka nastain. Idi nasira ta mustain. Sira ta atin a un amta alehim. Gari Mongdubi Allah Alihim Walud Dalin. Ameen. Yes, the one you had outside. Okay, I'm not sure, sis. This one was here, 786 Sword of Light. Some prayers by this book by Brother Sufi or Sheikh Sufi, my homie from Philly. It's dealing with the Sufi teachings, dealing with Sheikh Amadou Bamba. He's one of the great African avatars that learned how to master himself. Because this is what this path is about, self-mastery, you know? So, if you don't know about Sheikh Amadou Bamba and in his teachings, definitely check him out. Various governments tried to kill this avatar, this great master, almost 300 times to no avail, you know? And powerful, powerful, powerful what we could do with ourselves and what we're capable of, you know? So, where shall I start? Because I'm supposed to be in class right now, actually. I'm taking a class with Sister Acacia Lewis. Great, great, great sister, way before her time. She's teaching us a lot. One thing that we've been going over in class is neuroscience, and brain chemistry. What does it mean to have a bad trip? You know, is not always psychological. It's not always dealing with your what we would call some trauma that was stored within your DNA. Yeah, those things come up too during trips and journeys, but also she was mentioning to the class how important it is to feed certain things for your brain. One of our teachers, Baba Kalindi, who's an ancestor now, he said, if you're going to do this medicine work, if you're going to do this, eating these mushrooms and different ethogens, that you have to eat right, and when you deal with, especially certain psychedelics and stuff, there's certain things that you have to replenish your brain, your serotonin level and things. And there's different things that you can eat after a trip to balance out your brain chemistry. You know what I mean? So, we definitely went into that in her class, eating plenty of bananas and stuff after you come down from a trip, things of that nature. So yeah, but the Bufo, the Toad, the great Toad, 5-MeO DMT. I've been working a lot with the Bufo, with the Toad, and I have come to a realization that is my favorite medicine. That is my favorite psychedelic. That's my favorite ethogen. I really can't have come to that conclusion. And at first, it used to always be the mushroom, outside, sitting on this nice wet grass area here, growing everywhere, right around us, and there's so much benefit to the great mushroom, and I love the mushroom, but that Bufo boy, that toad is something else. That toad is something else. And I had the pleasure of being able to be invited out to Ann Arbor, Michigan. All right. I was out there doing a weekend retreat, a Bufo weekend retreat with the folks out there. And I didn't even know that I was going to be working with the crew, with the team that dealt with decriminalization in Ann Arbor. So I had the pleasure to sit down with all these folks that were responsible for decriminalizing these sacred plants and fungi teachers in that area. You know, so I want to big up to the whole crew out there in Ann Arbor that has been putting in work that decriminalized these sacred tools for expansion of consciousness. You know, and working with the folk out there was interesting because you had a lot of psychonauts that I met that weekend. You know what I mean? Folks that done took everything that you can imagine in the realm of psychedelics. So a lot of people I worked with was like, well, you know, I would tell them, I was like, this Bufo is something different, y'all. You know what I mean? It's something different. This is not mushrooms. This is not ayahuasca. This is not peyote or anything. This is a whole different category within itself, you know? And folk was like, oh, nah, I'm a psychedelic psychonaut veteran, you know, I'm a pro at this, you know, bring it on. Basically, bring it on, you know? So I was like, you sure, right? You sure about that, right? So so I'm like, all right, this call coming through, I had to tell them, call them back. So sure enough, those people that came in with that type of thinking or attitude got got handled. That's all I could say. You know, certain folk that smoked the toad and was like literally like came out of it. It was like, did I smoke it? I was like, yes, you did. A good 45 minutes done passed, my friend. Or those who just came out of it and it was throw up all over the place. You know, I had to turn folk over, make sure they was choking on their own throw up and all this other stuff. And it was interesting because what I noticed is that like any of these sacred tools, you have to approach it with high respect and honor. You don't come, you don't come in here with it with an attitude where I got this, that this ain't nothing. I've been through this, did that, I got this. No, you approach these medicines, particularly the toad, the Bufo, with a high level of respect and honor. And when you do that, you could get more out of this experience. Definitely. The people that came to it from a more humbling experience, and don't get me wrong, the people that came in with, I got this, even after what they went through, they realized that they got humbled, and that they got still a lot out of it. But the people that came in from the beginning with a more humbling attitude, I feel remembered their experiences a little more, and just in general got more downloads and different things, So it's your approach. How do you approach this medicine work? How do you approach it, from the giddy up, I noticed that weekend that I got a formula, I got a blueprint on how to approach this medicine, this Bufo. There was two spirits that kept on coming through during the time with the Bufo. At one point, it was an old Mexican lady, all right? Hold on one second. Got some bapacho here that I got from my last weekend in New York, mapacho medicine, sacred tobacco. So it was old Mexican lady that would come through me ever so often when I was working with the Bufo. It was deep. I would see her in my mind's eye, and she would come in my body, and even my voice would change. It would go to this high pitch type of song. So it'd be like, I can't really mimic it right now because it wouldn't do justice on how the song was being sung through me at the time when I would be in. Because when I would give the Bufo to people, I would take a little Bufo myself after they would smoke, so I could have one foot in the spirit world and one foot in this physical world. So I would smoke a little after each person, and literally these different ancestors or medicine people would come through me. One was this old Mexican lady, and it would be this old man. All right. I didn't see the old man in my mind's eye, but I would feel his presence when he would come over me. And he would have a more energetic type of demeanor about him, more raw. Like she would like smooth things out, and then he would come in and kind of like bring this energy of like, okay, now we're gonna come through and bring this a little more stronger and shake you up on anything you have to let go, you know? And it was amazing. It was amazing. I noticed also with the Bufo, and you probably could sense this with other medicines too, that I was hearing people's thoughts. And that was deep. That was deep. That was deep. That was deep. And when you're doing this work and you start to develop yourself spiritually, and you hear this a lot about certain yogi masters, certain adepts, certain sages that would have their third eye open to the point that they would be able to hear people's thoughts and talk to people telepathically and things of that nature. And when you get to that place, you have to be very non-judgmental, because everyone is going through some shit here on planet Earth. You know, we'll essentially learning how to step back into our higher self, which is Great Spirit, which is God, which is Goddess, your true nature. And until you get to that place, there's all types of healing, all types of clearing that one has to do. And knowing that, you don't become as judgmental, you know, because I was hearing some crazy stuff coming from folks. You know what I mean? Just in regard to me. Like, I ain't gonna say why some of the things I heard, but I found it very interesting, particularly coming in this incarnation as a man of color, as a so-called black man or more, what have you. You know what I mean? I see a lot of times with this medicine work that sometimes there's a judgmental thing that happens, particularly with our younger brother, our European brother, or sister, that they sometimes look at this physical shell and say, oh, he supposed to do the medicine work. And you see it. You come in the room and they see me. And they're like, who is this guy? You know, because they think that sometimes the experts got to come from, and not to say that I'm an expert or anything, I'm always constantly learning. But they think the person that got the juice is the one that's deep in the jungle. But you know, when you know what you know, you know what you know. And that's not arrogance, it's not pride. When you're tapped in, you're tapped in. I've never forgot when I first took Bufo, the first time I took it was in Staten Island. And I remember this white gentleman, he was giving me a ride home. Well, he was giving me a ride back to the train station, and you know, to catch the bus or what have you in Manhattan. And I remember he was saying, Dooley, how did you know all the songs with the shaman? Did you study, you know, the Bufo path with a teacher or whatever? And I was like, no, I didn't. I was being truthful. And he's like, well, how did you know the song? And I was like, well, when you go into a place of singularity, there's nothing that you cannot tap into or not know. You know, you're plugged in at that moment. So, and then doing work over the years with the mushroom, with other different other teaching plants and fungi, you realize that you could see your past lives. And you could, and I've seen some of my past lives where I learned that I've been doing this work for several lifetimes, this medicine work, you know? So the memory comes back to you. You pick up where you left off, you know? And so when some of these individuals that see me, they're like, oh, this guy come from the hood or whatever. He's dressed like this way or that way. How can he be able to teach me something or hold space for me? There's a lot of judgment there. And I was hearing it from their thoughts. It was deep. It was deep. There was moments where even I was in a room with several, it was one time I was in a room with this one person and I was hearing her thoughts and some of the insecurities were coming up and saying, is this guy, am I going to be safe with this guy? Will he take a, you hear these things and I'm like, wow, this is deep, but you have to put all that to the side because you have to realize that these folk, a lot of us, including myself, we all are damaged. We are all on this path to heal ourselves and to step up to the plate to who we truly are, which is one with great spirit, And until then, we're going through the motions. We're going through all the bullshit that we go through, So this was what I was learning even that weekend in even in Michigan was like, I seen a formula. When I was open, I would see certain high masters that would go through a brother. They would tell me a certain song or a chant to be able to sing for a person. And each song was different. You know what I mean? Each song was individualized. You know what I mean? It might have had the same rhythm or the same type of frequency, but there would be certain words, certain things that were different that was for that particular person. And I found that was interesting. All right. For a long time, I thought that these songs and different things that were coming out of me were gibberish, because this was some of the things that I was learning when I was first coming out on this path with this medicine work. I was like, man, what am I saying, man? Am I losing my mind? I was like, what is this stuff that's coming out of me with these songs that I don't know, that I can't translate or know what they mean. Again, it wasn't until maybe 7 years ago or so when I first met Baba Kalindi, the mushroom master, that I met a gentleman out there because I was doing a talk at UMass Amherst on urban shamanism. And I was telling this guy, I was like, man, I do these chants and I don't know what they mean. They just come out of me. And he said, well, Dooley, let me hear one of them, And I remember I was sharing the song with him. I tried to get, I got into my meditation and I started to do the chant. And he said, Dooley, don't you know you're speaking ancient Mayan language? I was like, what? And because this particular individual would go back and forth to Mexico, and he would sit with certain medicine men and women that would do mushroom ceremonies that was still connected to that whole lineage, the whole Mayan lineage, So he recognized certain words within my song that he was familiar with in regard to the ceremonies that he sat in with. Okay. So that gave me a little confidence when I talked to him. I was like, wow, these songs that are coming out do have meaning. They do they are coming from somewhere, you know? And especially when you're first beginning out on this path with this spiritual work, you have to trust yourself. You got to trust yourself. You know, you got to really, really, really trust that these things are within you. You know what I mean? That these gifts, that this information is within you. It's your birthright. You know? So I found that was interesting that with the Bufo, it would come through these certain songs for individualized songs for people. Also, I noticed that there was certain instruments that I was called to play for people. All right. So spirit would tell me, use the gong first as a tool to help ground people through the beginning stage of Bufo. Because when you smoke the Bufo, you're automatically going in. You're automatically going through all those dimensions simultaneously. And the gong was just one sound that would help stabilize that person, I noticed, when they're going through that particular part within their journey with the Bufo medicine. All right. Most people, when they take this medicine, it's like a death. It's like you're having a glimpse of what it means to die, you know, to go through the death process. So when people usually smoke, they usually, you know, sometimes they lose all control of their bodily functions. And you'll see people kind of just lay back and like, ooh, you know what I mean? And next thing you know, they going through all these dimensions simultaneously, you know? And the blast off. And you could see it with people. Because some people, what I've noticed with the Bufo is if you're not a person that is willing to submit, and I really mean submit, you know, to Great Spirit, to whatever we want to call it, then usually those are the people I see that have the most roughest experience with this medicine. You know, people are fighting to hold on to what they're familiar with. All right? They're still thinking they're a human being. And like even my teacher, Baba Kalindi, would say, you don't even know what it means to be a human being. Like, if you would even know what we're packing as a species, man, listen, no wonder they're trying to dumb everybody down. You know? You know, because we're not even tapped into our true potential even as human beings. You know? We're at 2 strands of DNA. We was 36-strand DNA beings. Going to 24, going to 12, going to 2. You know, so that showed you our decline in our on as a species. You know? But even like my homegirl sister Acacia, we was in class yesterday and we was talking about, you know, when you go into the multiverse, when you go into the you know, you got to stand in your birthright as being a sovereign being, a universal sovereign being. And what does that mean? You know, tapping into the various archetypical archetypes, your universal archetypes, that are you. You know, you are Kali, you are Durga, you are the medicine Buddha, you are all these things. You know, and you could call these various aspects and attributes to you. You know, and that's why you had the tradition of the shapeshifters. You know, this is all encoded in our DNA. When my good friend Acacia talked to us about the shapeshifters of Colombia, and when we was dealing with the Spaniards over there and dealing with all the atrocities that happened in that area, with these people's, these indigenous people's culture being attacked, their way of life being attacked. A lot of the shamans would shapeshift into the jaguar and attack these Spaniards. You know what I mean? A real phenomena. There was moments, there's plenty of people that I've met that have shapeshifted, including myself. Didn't go through the whole process, but I almost got there, and I wasn't ready at the time. I felt my cranium changing, my fingers changing, and I was like, oh boy, what is this? What's going on here? And so, because we've been so dumbed down, because we, as a collective species, especially in the West, especially in America, in the United States of America, especially in certain areas of the world, we've been dumbed down so much with mind control programming that since day one, since we go to these public school systems, that the world has dictated to you what reality is. So anything outside of that program, most people cannot relate. You know what I mean? They either think they're going crazy, or they're saying the next thing, oh, you're possessed, right? That's where the organized religion come in. And so, oh, you better stay away from what you're dealing with, because the devil got you, Shaitan got you, the jinn got you. Where that's not the fact. The fact is that you're trying to step into your power, because this is your birthright. This is part of your DNA. I tell people all the time, one of my favorite yogis from Tibet is Milarepa. Researching. He was a very deep, deep individual. He had the ability to shapeshift. Many people that would come and try to visit him in the high Himalayan mountains would see in the snow-covered mountains human footprints, and then next thing you know, those footprints would turn into the footprints of an animal. The brother had the ability to fly. But when you come into the mind programming that's been established for the collective, because you have a small amount of people that's running things, they want to keep you dumbed down. They don't want to have you empowered. The hell, why would they want that? People want to hold on to the illusionary power, right? Lord forbid they have a lot of superheroes walking around here. That'll mess up their game, right? I'll tell you something about Baba Kalindi. When I was at his the last Detroit psychedelic conference, and when they had the memorial out for him, man, and that was beautiful. I've never seen a memorial for anyone like this. The whole community, everyone came out to pay respect and honor this great man. I talked to this one elder that told me that Baba Kalindi had the power of bilocation. All right? He was able to go and he visited the Vatican. And this brother, rest in peace, rise in power, Baba Kalindi literally snuck into the Vatican basement. I think he was on the second floor level, the elder was telling me. He said that he was able to go from one area where he was at and do like boom, and next thing you know, he was in the basement. He spent the whole night there, Baba Kalindi, studying very sacred material. All right? Because you already know, if you're not hip to the Vatican, that it's a storehouse of all the world's treasures, of all the great things, all the great technologies, all the things that you have these archaeologists from the Smithsonian Institute that would dig up, right? some of the ancient technology that the public would never know about. Baba Kalindi was able to sit there throughout the whole night and observe and study and look over things. And then the brother zoomed back out into the courtyard like nothing happened and then walked in and played it off. You know what I mean? Like he was just a tourist there. All right? I was talking to plenty of elders that day that knew Baba for a long time that and was saying like, yeah, this guy had a cloak of invisibility around him. He would walk into certain places and the security would not see him. But these particular people that seen it would try to walk right behind him and say, hey, where you going? You know? But at the same time, the friends would be like, that person was like, what? You just didn't see Baba Kalindi just walk by you? No, they didn't. He was dealing with some high science. And Baba Kalindi did not brag about it. You know? He was one of those type of dudes that he would discover certain cities, and cities is what they deem what they call in India your supernatural powers. SIDDHI. All right? He would develop certain cities and he would never brag about it or go on YouTube and say, I'm the man, this is what I'm doing. You know? He would just learn what he learned and shared with those who were ready and kept it moving. You have to understand that a lot of these people, first of all, to the newbies out there, to a lot of these young souls, to a lot of these new folk on the path, don't get hoodwinked out here. You know, just because somebody's very charismatic and know the new things to say metaphysically or dress the part doesn't mean they're living that lifestyle. You have to use your intuition and know who the true masters and the true adepts and the true sages are out here. Because just like you had COINTELPRO in the 1960s, which was geared to dismantle a lot of the movements that were happening, especially within the Black community, COINTELPRO never left. And you have a lot of those people now within the New Age community, within the spiritual, metaphysical community, and they're here just to confuse people. So be wise, my friends, on what information you want to digest. All right? But Kalindi, yeah, he was in the Vatican basement doing his thing. Right. So we have these abilities. These abilities are our birthright. You know, these are the changing times where you're going to see more and more people coming out with these abilities and stuff. This was nothing new. When, like I said, when you go to the Himalayan mountains or you go to the Far East or go to many places within Africa where the Black secret societies are still established, this is common knowledge. It's common knowledge, my friends. But living in a state of Babylon where they're giving you fake food, where they're trying to dumb you down with vaccinations and all kinds of things, chemtrails, it's a lot of fear. It's a lot of fear from you waking up. And I'll never forget. I'll just give you a quick example, then let's go back into the Bufo, because this all relates to the Bufo. I had a friend of mine that was not into the metaphysical stuff at all. And she had a experience of levitation. It blew her mind. She was running early in the morning. She was getting her jog on, and then she got into that runner's high. They sometimes call it a runner's high. And she was in that zone. And she was running so quickly. And next thing you know, the young lady came off the ground a couple of inches. It blew her mind. It happened for a couple of seconds, but it blew her mind. She didn't know what to do with herself. She was looking around. Did I just do that? What the heck? Am I going crazy? What's going on here? You know? She went back and told her mother what happened. And her mother's response to this day got me tickled. It had me laughing like nothing. Her mama was like, "Don't you know?" She's like, "Girl, don't you know I did that in my early 20s too? You know that that particular power resides in our family bloodline. You know, so that blew my mind when she told me that. You know, that blew my mind. You know, I was like, wow, this is deep. So we don't know what resides within us. Most of us. You know? We're just going through the motions here on in this third dimension called planet Earth. Most of us stay just getting a good career, having a happy family, you know, getting a house and all that, and that's it. And kick the bucket, and I had a good life. There's nothing wrong with having financial wealth, having a great career, having a beautiful family. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel that's a blessing. But also, we're here to awaken. We're here to awaken. I don't know if y'all seen that show, that movie was on Netflix. Jamie Foxx was in it. What's the name of it? Something Game, Project Power. I think it was called Project Power. They were trying to show you that in that movie. What's the woman? What's the woman? They said that she had the immortal cells. They showed it in that movie, and how this woman to this day, her cells are still alive, and how she was responsible for all these medical breakthroughs. They were showing in that film how they had this street drug that was awakening people's abilities. Awakening people's abilities. You know? Because we don't have the luxury and the time right now to go through the mystery schools or to sit at a yogi's feet for 20, 30 years. Not in the time that we're living in. Maybe that's how it could have been in the past, but the time we're living in right now, in the age of technology, in the irresponsibility that is coming along with the age of technology, we're not dealing with a level of morality here. Let's face it. We're talking about transhumanism. We're talking about the age of AI and what that entails in our future, and how that's going to look for new generations. We don't have the luxury to sit down and home for years. No, we need to upgrade, and we need to upgrade quickly. And that's where these teaching plants and these fungi come in. Mama Earth herself is trying to give us the upgrade, try to let us know, hey, let me give you this ayahuasca, this San Pedro, this peyote, this Bufo. And hopefully, you humans taking this can come up to speed to who you truly are. Mama Earth, she's so beautiful. You want to learn about unconditional love? Look at her. She keeps giving, even amongst the craziness that we do to her every day. Recently, I seen Lovecraft Country. I'm almost done with all the episodes. But I think it was episode 6 or 7 when the character, the woman, goes through these different dimensions. And she meets that aspect of this futuristic celestial woman who calls herself I Am, right? And as soon as the woman names herself, she creates her reality. I felt that episode was brilliant because when you looked at it, you look at the so-called normal reality that she was in. She said at one point, she says, I am the wife of so-and-so. And she goes back into that dimension and she wakes up from supposedly a dream. And she's trying to teach her husband, like, listen, this is who we are. Boom, 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 boom. And of course, he's not ready for where she's at mentally. But it let me know right now, at this very moment, is this just another dream? Right now. You listening to Dooley right now. Brother Dooley. Are we dreaming right now? Is this just another psychedelic experience right now? Because as you know, when you take a good amount of this medicine, you're not the same. Even down to the genetic level, you're not the same. When I first took Bufo and I had a singularity experience, when I left my body, was going through all the dimensions, and when I went through this cosmic womb, and then I was rebirthed again, I let out a big scream, like I was being, once again, like a child being born, and literally merged with everything. Literally merged with everything. You know what I mean? That's when I realized, oh, this is what these mystics are talking about. This singularity, this oneness. And I remember Great Spirit was like, I realized, whatever we want to call it, God, Goddess, whatever, it's like, yes, I am the homeless man too. Yes, I am the killer too. I am the crackhead on the corner too. I am the slug that's crawling on the ground right above, right below you right now. And I realized that, like the mystic says, the only thing that exists is God. Spirit, that's the only thing. Listen, y'all. Listen, y'all. The only thing that exists is great. See, the sun came out for that one too. Wow, that's deep. That's deep. That's confirmation. You know, the only thing that exists, y'all, is Great Spirit. And all the sacred texts, all the people that had that aha moment, that download, said the same thing, y'all. I don't care what sacred book you're talking about. If you're talking about real mysticism, it's saying the same thing. I don't care if it's the Kabbalah. I don't care if it's the Bhagavad Gita. I don't care if it's the Rig Veda. I don't care what it is. The Tao. I don't care. It's saying the same thing. You know, in soft with the tree of life. Great Spirit created itself to know itself, which when you get there, it is so true. I'm not lying to y'all. You know what I mean? Listen, y'all. We're living the big dream. Even the Aborigine people, the indigenous people of Australia, dream time, the walkabout. We're having the big dream collectively. All right? And this dream could be whatever we want it to. It could be a dream of war and suffering or whatever, or it could be a paradise. It's what you want to create. And I know we could philosophize and say, yeah, we God and stuff, but yeah, that's all good and all, but ain't nothing like experiencing it yourself. And when you experience it yourself, there's no turning back. You will not be the same after this experience anymore. You won't. How can you? And yes, when you become God, you forget. Yes, duly forgets all the time. Even though I'll be in that singularity place, I'll come back from all those dimensions and boom, 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 and come back into this so-called shell of this dude, this black male or whatever, so many age, with this so-called personality that my higher self created. And then I go into the game again. And then I go into this thing of letting leave. Like, come on, it is funny, y'all. I'm going to tell y'all, it is deep. But the thing is, the key to this thing is to sustain that awareness, to be into that awareness 24/7. Because the psychedelic experience a lot of time is giving you a little glimpse. It's like, peekaboo, this is who you are, peekaboo. And go, you know what I mean? I swear to God, oh my God. This one person that I sat for and was holding space for with the Bufo, right? Listen, I tell y'all, I smoke a little after each person, right? And it was funny. This woman is saying, the first day I started at 10 a.m. I did not stop until like almost 1:30 in the morning. I was such in the zone. It was crazy. The only time I would stop is to go to the bathroom or whatever. I was literally going on for almost 13, 14 hours, right? And each time smoking a little Bufo. So I was in this zone all day, all until the night. There was this one person, like I usually take a microdose after each person. This one person, I didn't mean to take this big of I didn't mean to take this big enough a puff that I did. I took a big old puff with this one particular person during her trip. Man, oh man. I started going into God consciousness, and I was like, oh, snap. I didn't mean to take that much, and I'm supposed to be here with her. And listen, it was what it was, because I didn't even know how I was standing, hitting this gong. And I was hitting this gong, and the way I was hitting it, the sound went throughout the universe. It was deep. Me and this woman went places throughout the universe. There was a point where after I became God and I was, still able to be still here, but yet have that expansive experience, because I had one eye open just to watch her to make sure she was okay. There were certain things that my higher self was telling me to do to clear for her auric field, all kinds of stuff. I can't even put it in words, y'all. But she went into her higher self. There was a point where me and her even merged as the sacred, divine, feminine mask. It was so deep. Man, when she was coming down, telepathically, I was telling her, do not forget you are God. Do not forget you are God. Do not forget that, man. I could see when she got solidified back into this third dimension. Automatically, the program started kicking back up again. I was like, oh, shit, ain't this something else? And what was so deep was that because I was able to witness all these levels of consciousness for herself, from the highest to the lowest with her, from her deepest fears in her deepest insecurities to her greatest her greatest levels of bliss and attainment. Because I was a witness for all this for her, she could not, I don't know how I could say this. she could not believe it, that this man coming in this form as this hood nigga. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. This hood dude had the capacity to take her throughout the universe and beyond and bring her back safely, because she had these judgments, these programs that was in her bloodline. It was crazy. Every other person that I dealt with that day, because the before and the after was yo, man, the before and the after was dope. Every person would come. I don't care even if they had their insecurities or whatever. Like I said, I was hearing people's thoughts and all kinds of stuff. But the before and after, I should have took a picture. The before, the nervousness, the insecurity, the judgment. Then the after session, the love, the gratitude, the humbleness. You know, every person would give me a big hug. Thank you, whatever. You know, this one person that went for the universe, she got up. She said, just walked out. I said, hey, what's going on? Can I get a hug? Peace. We just experienced something here. But I realized what was going on. This her human egotistical side could not bear the fact that, because listen, they think it's supposed to come in a certain package. All right? That's why I said, and not to big myself up, I ain't shit. I have to let you know. You know what I mean? But I let you know, a lot of people think it's supposed to come in a certain package. All right? You could walk by a self-realized being on the street that look like a crackhead, and because you think it's supposed to look a certain way, you'll never know you just walked by a master. Straight up. But because we think this new age stuff and all this stuff, a lot of these people, they think it's supposed to come in a certain package. You're supposed to look this way, supposed to sound, and you're supposed to talk very light, and you know, it's deep. So she couldn't wrap her head around that. You know what I mean? That this brother from the hood could take her into her God self, and all these other things that happened during that session. She couldn't, and when she came back solidified in this so-called form, she couldn't accept it. It was deep. It was deep, yo. So when she asked me later, there was moments where she was aware of the experience. She's like, "Oh, what was you doing around my body with the movements, the hand movements and stuff?" Because we have to go into the science of mudras. The science of mudras are deep. They're deep. They're deep, 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 deep. You know what I mean? The science of mudras are deep. You got to learn how to use all tools that you use on the other side to clear stuff, to battle with even being lower dimensional beings that even want to bring it to you. You know what I mean? Mudras is, you know what I mean? So listen, I knew she couldn't accept that, couldn't accept me. So I had to say something to her, which was true, but yet still I left something out. I said, well, you know, what I was doing was not me. You know, I was just open channel to be able to allow whatever was needed for you at that session, which was true. Because like I said, the old Mexican lady would be going through me all this other stuff. But I also was there. I was aware of Dooley as well. You know? But I couldn't tell her that because there was a lot that was going on there. And we have to understand, we have to understand that our younger brother, the European, you know, there's certain things that indigenous people already went through. We just already went through shit because, you know, we already gone through certain ages already. They're new to the game. And that's not a disrespect. It's neither here or there. You know what I mean? But if you look in certain texts, like the Vedic texts and all that, we already did nuclear war. Been there, done that. We already did time, the daggone space travel and all that. Been there, done that. You know? When I went on one of my highest grams of mushrooms, that's when I was able to peep the Great War that we had in space. Awesome, man, it was crazy. So it's certain things as indigenous people that we did already and intuitively within the deepest parts of our psyche, in our unconscious mind, the deepest parts of our DNA. We just don't rock. We don't rock with certain things. When I hear about these people talking about making it CERN and trying to mimic a black hole, a miniature. I mean, it's certain, man, the repercussions of that is crazy. But it's certain things we don't deal with because we just know better. We already been there, done that. But it's like your younger brother who's just coming up, just learning about certain things. And you're like, he's stomping his feet, playing with the Legos, right? Want all the attention. You know what I mean? And he's like, you're just laughing to yourself as the older brother. Like, man, I already went through that stage, man. The me stage. It's all about me. You know what I mean? So you can't blame people for their evolution, because we all got to evolve, We all got to evolve. And even the Hopi prophecy talks about that. The rainbow tribe, where eventually we all got to get it together. All the races around the planet, all the species around the planet will come to the great ascension. And at the end of the day, when you deal with this Bufo, you deal with some of this medicine, right? When you deal with some of this medicine, real talk. And when you start going into singularity, at the end of the day, without a shadow of a doubt that all is God. All is Goddess. You know what I mean? It's expressing itself in various forms and ways. And what I've learned from, like I said, my first Bufo experience is God is constantly seeking knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. When it's just yourself alone and that's it, it had to recreate itself, break from itself to know itself. So it's constantly seeking wisdom, even if it's seeking wisdom into being a crackhead. And I know that might sound absurd or crazy or whatever, but it's seeking knowledge. What does it mean to be a hooker? And it's deep. But when you look at the puzzle piece of how it all fits together, oh my God, amazing, brilliant, beyond words. Beyond words. And we go through cycles, just like we go through seasons. There's going to be times where humanity is more enlightened. There's going to be times where humanity is going through winter time, where everything is dead, where all the leaves is nothing growing. That's nature. That's how these things work. But you also could be an awakened being where you could be in it, yet not be in it. You know what I mean? Like this dude, Sheikh Amadou Bamba. I was giving plenty of examples out there to show you that you could be of this world, but you don't got to be in it. You don't have to be affected by it. To try to burn this man through, they daggone kidnapped him, threw him over the Atlantic Ocean. Aha, we're going to kill him this time. You know what I mean? You can't kill God. Come on, man, stop that. That's silly. But it's God playing with God, having a big old grand show. We all on the stage, this illusionary stage, playing our part. This time, I'm going to be the villain. Ha, 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 ha. This time, I'm going to be the hero. Hooray! It's deep. It's deep. It's deep. This past weekend, I was in New York. and we was doing some. Okay, let me hold on. Before I go into that, I got some comments going here, and I want to make sure I respond and just be like boom, 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 boom. All right. When are you coming to Chicago? Well, reach out to me, brother. You know, and we'll make it happen. I have a team too. You know, so we could come up here with various medicines and make it happen. All right, my brother. Um, Someone says peace to the God and sage. Peace, peace, peace. What's going on, boy? I like that dude's name too, Coyote Prophet. That's a dope name. I like that. Dark Goddess says, oh, I'm pretty old school, so I gotta press this, see how it go back. Okay, Dark Goddess Tantra says, so true. We've been there and done that. No doubt we have. You know what I mean? Even Khalidi talk about when we had to dip from this Sirius, man, because we was warring with the reptilians back then. You know, came to Mars, then came to this joint. My first Bufo experience, I was birthed as a lotus flower coming through the murky, muddy waters. It was no joke. I hear you, sister. You know what I mean? It ain't no joke. Yeah. Now, there's another comment here. It says, how do I go down? Okay. There's more comments. Okay. Let's see here. We miss you here in Detroit. Okay. You met me before. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I wish I could see a picture on there to see who I'm talking to. You know, that would be beautiful. But I love Detroit. The D is, I love the D. You know what I mean? Any chance I get just to drive out there or whatever, I just love the energy out in Detroit. It's so real out there. You know what I mean? And I just made a lot of friends out in Detroit. Just beautiful. I mean, the D. It's the D. You know, so I love the travel. You know, I have some Sagittarius in my birth chart, so it's that Dora Explorer that's in me, and I just love meeting more soul family. So if you want us to come to your hood and rock and roll with y'all, let me know. We'll make it happen. All right. Let's see what other comments we have here. Let's see how you touch this here. Okay. Thanks, bro. How am I going to get in contact with you? Okay, these are my contacts. All right. I am on Facebook under Abdul K. Wilkins. Wilkins. Abdul Abdul K. Wilkins. Okay. You can inbox me in that and send me a message, and I will try to get back to you at my earliest convenience. Or you can email me. Email is kind of harder for me to get to that. I don't really check my email like that, but I will ever so often check it and try to get back to you. But my email is love mother earth number 33 at gmail.com. Okay, so that's how you can get in contact with me. I would give my number, but who knows? You know, there's some crazy folk. I'm crazy too, but there's some crazy folk out there. I want everybody. I'll be trying to sleep. I'll be 3 in the morning. Be like, hey, Tony, you know what I mean? I'm trying to get some sleep, man. What's going on? You know, but as we establish a friendship, of course, you can have my number. All right. Well, I'll let that come down the line. All right. I'll just really I'll let you I'm gonna end because I'm supposed to be in classification now. But I just felt like I needed to make a video. But because I haven't made a video in a while, and I'm because I've been working on myself, you know. I do a lot of ceremonies and stuff with people, but sometimes I miss doing work for me, going in hard with me, traveling the multiverse, doing different things. Because, like, I was listening to an old talk with Baba Kalindi the other night, you know, just missing the elder, you know, and how important it is to go in hard with this medicine. Because, like Baba said, like, you know, you take a good amount of mushroom, you know, you'll be out there with certain masters, certain teachers, sometime 1,000 years. Imagine what you can learn in 1,000 years. Because time can be definitely a funny thing, this thing called time. So, in your 4-hour span, 5-hour span on this plane of existence on planet Earth, you could be out there, spend a good 500 years out there on this other planet or whatever, this other dimension you're at, and you're sitting at the feet of this particular master, and you're getting all kind of downloads. So when you get back here, all of a sudden, you're a master in this particular field, and truly a master. So they wasn't so off with the Matrix when they did that scene and they plugged the thing in the back of their head, and all of a sudden, you're a master of this martial arts when they show that in the Matrix. It's very true. There's a moment where I'll go in with the mushroom, for instance, and a certain martial arts style would come out of me. Something I've never studied in this lifetime. But this is all information that has been accumulated in various past lives with you. You know what I mean? Different things that gifts that are in your DNA from your family lineage. All those things. It's time to tap into it. It's time to tap into it. If you're a linguistic person, if you're a person that loves language, shoot, you could be on the other side getting downloads, learning French, Spanish, Italian, whatever, Chinese, whatever. Coming back, boom, boom, boom. Spend a good 500 years, you got the download. Next thing you know, you're speaking this language fluently. All right? I remember it was a guy, I never forgot. It was a situation where this guy banged his head on something. Something happened to him. He was in a coma. He came out the coma speaking Yiddish fluently, right? Never studied it in this lifetime. Where does that come from, y'all? What is that about? So again, there's so much to us. There is so much to us that we are not aware of. Study, put in work, see the masters that were here before you, that made it before you. When in the early 2000s, when I was studying Tibetan Buddhism, I was under the Kagyu lineage, got various initiations from some of those lamas, man. It, like, certain things that they taught me, the reason why you'll see certain groups of people that excel spiritually is because they are in remote places where they don't have the distractions. All right? Lord forbid you have some time on your hands and you use that time wisely. That's the game. Keep you busified. Gotta go to this 9 to 5. Oh, gotta pay this bill. Oh boy, the light's gonna be turned off. Get yourself aligned economically, and I'm working on that myself. Get yourself aligned economically so you could free up your time, so you could spend some real good quality time with self. So these things, these abilities will start to come out of you. And they're real. This is not philosophy. This is not just me talking shit. See, I'm getting emotional. You know what I mean? These things are real. I'm very passionate about this. We've been under mind control, y'all. We've been spoon since day one that this is just our 5 senses and that's it. It's a lie. You've been lied to, man. And then it was like, listen, man. Oh my God. I was in New York, right? For this past weekend retreat. We was dealing with Mama Aya. We was dealing with some mushrooms. We was dealing with the Bufo, the combo. I had one. It was very touching. First of all, it was an honor to be there with my other good friend, my other good shaman buddy, Junior. Big up to him. We was holding space for a group of all sisters. All right? And it meant a lot to me. They said, Thank you, Dooley. Thank you, Junior, for holding space for us, for having a space where we felt safe so we could do the work. Because there's so much, even in the time we live right now, there's so much discord between the genders. You know what I mean? There's so much discord. There's so much division. You know what I mean? And when the sister was one sister that says, you know, there's a lot going on in the internet and all this about toxic masculinity and all these things and feeling like we don't need you men. She said, we do need you men. And we love you men. That meant a lot to me. That was like, oh man. I start getting emotional, tears start coming down, man. Because sometimes we feel like we're in this place like we're warring against each other, us men and women. You know? And it gets deep, man. There's so many broken families out there. You know, I didn't come up with both of my parents together. So there was a lot of insecurities even on my end when I would go into relationships. How does that look like? Because I didn't have it. You know what I mean? And some of the brothers around the neighborhood, they wasn't the best examples on how to respect and treat a woman, a goddess. We got to do better, y'all. You know, including myself. We can't do all this work of becoming God and goddess until we do the ground work first, until we do the shadow work. Shadow work is so important. It's so important. So important. So important. When we do retreats, the biggest thing we emphasize in our retreats is integration work. I cannot emphasize that enough. Integration work. Because what's the point of becoming God or getting a glimpse of you becoming God or having all these amazing experiences and you coming back, like I was saying to that person before, that woman that had all this experience, and then come back into this egocentric type of mindset? What's the point of that? Traveled the multi-universe, became this deity, did that, created this new universe over there, did all these things, and then you come back into this solidified form, and you back on the stupid shit. Come on, y'all. That's why you got people that been dealing with ayahuasca and Bufo and all these things for years and still stuck on stupid because they haven't integrated in their life. How is it part of your everyday living? Have you given up these habits, these programs, these traumas? That's the true meaning of the mythos behind our Kemetic culture of saying, is your heart light as a feather? You know, when I came back from that weekend retreat in Ann Arbor, Michigan, man, there was no thoughts in my head for almost a week with that Bufo. When you go deep, it's such a clearing. You got to go deep. Almost a week, not a thought. I mean, kids running around doing their thing, their mama saying this and that. I love Miss Yo-Yo. I love you, Yo-Yo. But relationship stuff, things that normally trigger me, it was like water off a duck's back. I was like, well, I'll be goddamn. I was like, nothing is triggering me. Nothing's getting on my nerves. Nothing's going. And that's the state. That's our natural state. Our natural state is serenity. Our natural state is a state of calmness, of peacefulness. That's your state. That's your birthright. And when you're in that state, I don't care if the world is falling around you. You are one. You know, but how do we integrate this? And that's the shadow work. That's the stuff that's real important to me. It's not the glamorous, ooh, I created a universe. Boom, boom, boom. I talked to Thor for Tahuti and me and him was chilling, drinking tea. No. The real thing that impresses me is when you're looking at that trauma, when you're looking at that shit that you got to clear out, you know? So you could be more beneficial for your family, for your community, for the world, for yourself. That's what impresses me. You know? Because once we do that, we're more healthy individuals. When we come from that place, we could do some real work. You know? Bring up the new generation in a more healthier manner. You know? Not giving our baggage to a new generation. Not giving our fears and our aggression to a new generation. Because these are programs, epigenetic programs, things that have been passed on and passed on and passed on. Who's going to be the person to break that program? Your mama and papa had this fear or whatever. You're going to pass down in your genetics and you got these goddamn phobias. Come on, man. So when I seen this one sister at that last retreat in New York, and it was deep. It was beautiful, man. When she said that she was so mad at God because she came from a family of Jehovah Witnesses, and her parents turned her back on her when she decided that she did not want to embrace that faith anymore. Turned her back. Didn't want to talk to her anymore. And for the longest time, she couldn't understand God because this Jehovah figure in her, and quote unquote, from what she said, seemed like he was schizophrenic, seemed like he was bipolar. One day he loved you, next day he wanted to smite you down. And I couldn't help but laugh at the statement because it was true. There's a difference between religion and mysticism. There's a difference between organized religion and actually having an experience of knowing that you're one with God. That's a difference. And when she said that she had an experience of from that ayahuasca of knowing God in a different way, knowing that God resides within her, it was so liberating for her. And that was beautiful to witness. Beautiful. Even this figure that we call Jesus or Yahshua or Isa. I need to drink some water. I'm all dry mouth out here. So excuse me. You know what I mean? May lick my lips for a minute. You know what I mean? Listen, something about the saliva too, real quick. I was learning from one of my Qigong teachers a long time ago. You can charge your saliva. And the ancient Taoist mystics, the sages, used to say that was the greatest medicine of all. All right? That was the greatest medicine of all. You can bring this energy up within you and charge your saliva. All right? You could do that through an exercise called the microcosmic orbit. All right? Also, within Kriya Yoga, one of my good teachers, Wayne Chandler, big up to Dr. Wayne Chandler. He has a good book called Ancient Future. He's one of my other Qigong teachers. He talked about the 3 placements of your tongue on the roof of your mouth. The 1 tip placement near your teeth, then back, and then back further. There's a science to that. All right? And the chi that starts to, or the prana or the life force energy that starts to develop when you do particular breathing and the tongue placement, you infuse this saliva with the life force energy, and then you drink your saliva in a very conscious way. Man, oh man, you're creating some deep medicine within yourself just from that alone. That was just a side note. I was thinking about that in regard to my saliva. All right? Now, and that goes into the daggone Priya Master Sunyata. If you ain't got this daggone book, Jewel in the Lotus, please get it. You know? And one of my good brothers, I ain't gonna name his name because I don't know if you want to put that info out there. That you had this spiritual mafia that went after Sunyata at one point because some of this information is not supposed to go public unless you're an initiate. Even though he didn't write it, it was one of his wives that actually wrote the manual. But they try to go after him. You know, because this information was only for the initiates. That's why even the mushrooms, believe it or not, like even Baba Kalindi tried to teach us, it was encoded within the sacred structure of these churches, the mosques, the ashrams. And it was hidden within the structure. Right? Because it was only the high priest in them that used to only take these ethogens. It wasn't for back in the day, just for the public. Why? Was because you had to be ready to step up to the plate to become God. It was a serious responsibility. Because if you wasn't ready, guess what? You can abuse that shit. Or go plumb luck crazy. All right? What happens when back in the day, my father, right? And my mom, back in the 60s, they used to have something called a big phenomenon that was popping off, Kundalini Yoga. You had a lot of people that weren't specialized Kundalini Yoga teachers and was raising these people's Kundalini in a way when they wasn't ready. And they had spontaneous Kundalini awakenings where overnight they was having massive awakenings and they wasn't ready for that shit. And they would be going straight to the nutty house. Because next thing they know, they walking in their house and they seeing Uncle Joe so-and-so walking through the living room talking to them. And you have to understand, overnight, now they have this ability of clairvoyance. And they wasn't ready for that. And now they're going to the psychologist or whoever, and you know these people ain't specialized in the spirit realm. So now they think they're going crazy. So this used to be traditionally for the initiates. They would take you through different steps to understand your higher self. And usually it would start from the ground up, would start from you dealing with your trauma. That's why some people have a so-called bad trip. So-called bad trip, and I don't think it's really a bad trip because there's always something to learn. But a bad trip is coming from a place of unresolved trauma. You have to get deep within that shadow work. But also, like my good friend Acacia and my good friend and teacher would tell you, that you have to look at the brain chemistry. That's something a lot of psychonauts are not talking about. You have to balance out your serotonin level. Make sure you're eating right before you even go on these trips. Okay? It's deep, man. All this stuff is deep, man. You know? But it reminded me of that movie, the anime, which got me really into animation, was Akira. Perfect example of someone who starts to awaken when they haven't worked on their foundation yet. Their foundation was unstable. That character in that cartoon, he was a sucker. He was a herb. He used to get punked, and he had all that anger that built up in him of being picked on, being teased, not feeling like he's welcome or accepted. And when he got a taste of power, he went buck wild. You see? Or like I give a lot of my students an example of the great book, Yogananda, the autobiography of the yogi. There's a chapter in there, and that book is fantastic, by the way, if you haven't read it. You know, there's many sages and mystics in the book. The dude that could be in many places at one time, the sister that didn't need to eat, she was a breatharian. And also it was the guy that they talked about in that book that daggone could touch certain things and make it disappear and reappear on himself. So the dude that had that ability would be going into the jewelry stores and he would clean up. He was a master thief. The dude would go in there and be like, oh, may try this necklace on. Nah, I'm good. I don't want that. But he would put his psychic imprint on the necklace. Oh, may try that ring on my finger here. Oh, that looks pretty nice. Oh, actually, I can't afford that. No, I don't think I want that. He will walk out the jewelry store after he put his psychic imprint on everything, and about 5 minutes later, or so many minutes later, mysteriously, the objects that he would touch would all disappear and reappear on him. The dude was wilding out. This was a real dude that was in Bombay, India, cleaning up the jewelry stores. You know, eventually word got to his master, you know, his teacher, and you know, some of his other students is like, yo, bro, one of your top students is wilding out, bro. You know what I mean? He's using his city, he's using his power to rack up. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So read that book. It's letting you know, man, if you ain't got a stable foundation, be leery of trying to gain powers. All right? Be leery of that. What you should be focusing on is that shadow work and how you could open up that heart chakra. So you won't be tempted to do the stupid shit. Because you got a lot of people out there that got a lot of power, that got a lot of psychic abilities, but they ain't right. And I know a lot of people. I ain't saying names, but there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of foul-ish. So be careful of who you're studying under. I'll just keep it like that. You know what I mean? That's why we dealt with the mystery schools. When we dealt with, no matter what school of thought you came from, there was a blueprint for enlightenment. There was the laws of Ma'at, learning how to be able to deal with truth, justice, and righteousness, how to be able to be an individual that is decent before you step into the level of godhood or goddesshood. When you go into goddesshood, yeah, you go beyond duality. You go beyond all these things because you're not attached to those constructs and these programs. It is what it is at that point. But until you get there, don't be monkeying around with the craziness. All right? But I'm going to leave y'all with one little thing, man. It was one thing I just want to say that, you know, it was one woman who had a time travel experience the last retreat, and it was beautiful. She said that she did not like how she brought her son into the world. All right? And she felt like she did not have the support during giving birth and all these things. And she was not in a place where she felt that she was said that she was swearing, felt resentment, all this stuff. And, you know, children, they pick up all these things. So she felt that was like a lot of birth trauma for her son. She said when she was dealing with Mama Ayahuasca, Mama Aya allowed her to go give her a technique where she was able to time travel to go back to that place to rebirth again. So she was in real time and space doing the birthing again, giving birth to her son. And it was amazing witnessing that at the ceremony. Literally, the woman going into contractions and labor and all that, it was deep. So I just wanted to share that with you and let you know that this stuff is powerful. It's powerful. You know, it's powerful. You know, and Mama Earth herself, nature herself, she has these tools for us, for our own evolution. You know, and there's a lot of people that like to get on the soapbox and be like, well, you don't technically need anything outside yourself to get there. My thing is this, to people that got that opinion, come on, y'all. If it works, it works. You know what I mean? There's so many ways to get to self-realization. As many different personalities that we have, there's numerous techniques to get to your higher self. What works for one man that might not work for the next man. What Bufo is not for everybody. But if it works for this other person, why hate on them? All right? If it's making them a better person, having them come up to a mind expansive experience, why hate on them? And furthermore, when you do this type of work, you'll see that when there's scientific studies that show you when you meditate, you're releasing dimethyltryptamine, DMT. So come on, y'all. What's the beef? When the monks and them yogis do their darkroom therapy, and they're going in and doing these when they're doing these isolated retreats in the cave for 21 days and further. When you're in pure darkness without no light for so many days, you start to produce abundant amounts of DMT out your pineal gland. So what's the beef? It's inside you anyway. So I don't understand those people that try to make that argument. Oh, you don't need anything out yourself. You don't need a crutch or an aid to have God realization. You sound really silly, y'all, that hold that argument. Because when you're doing your certain yogas or you're doing your certain breathing, you're releasing DMT in you already. Anyway, we release big amounts of DMT at 3 o'clock in the morning. Did you know that? So it's in us anyway. We're having psychedelic experiences all the time anyway. When you're doing certain breathing techniques, when you're doing certain meditations. So stop it. Y'all that like to hold that argument, stop it. You need to go and do some more research along how DMT is produced in your body anyway during meditation and stuff. Y'all sound silly when you try to bring that argument up. Just humble yourself and just be happy that somebody found a technique that works for them. Stop being a hater. But anyways, let's see if there's any more comments. And yeah, someone says the best tantric book ever. Yes, it's a very beautiful book, very much so. And I'm just going back to it because they'll tell you that Tantra back in the day was one of the quickest ways of God realization. You know, because you're talking about the psychic life force energy going up your cerebral spinal fluid and coming to the top of your crown chakra and activating all the brain neurons. You know? And you'll understand when you do these practices that you'll be able to have these blissful, ecstatic or orgasmic experiences simultaneously without even the aid of a partner. You know what I mean? You'll learn how to turn that on at will. And you'll understand that spiritual energy and orgasmic energy are one and the same. There's moments when you're on these ethogens that you turn full on or orgasmically. I had one brother, elder, that was teaching me a form of martial art one time, and he says, you'll be in certain stances, and when you get into it so much, you'll go totally orgasmic. And I remember this elder said he went through that experience. He did not know what was happening at the time. And I remember that experience happened to me once. I was microdosing with the mushrooms, but then I was doing this Kemetic Qigong posture by Jason Quick. Big up to Jason Quick. Great book. He has one for the solar and one for the lunar. And I was doing this exercise and I went full on orgasmic. My goodness gracious. It was deep. It was deep. I was like, woo, woo, got the shakes and everything. It was deep. But it was the sisters, the sisters, the goddesses that ran the tantric temple. You know, the temples of Heteru, you know? And they knew every sexual position. They knew the certain breathing techniques. They knew all these things to be able to not only have God realization, goddess realization through the art of Tantra, but also they knew how to heal people through the art of Tantra. You know, if somebody had a heart issue, you know, look at the reflexology points of the penis. Look at the reflexology points of the vagina. You know, and you'll see that the tip of the penis deals with the heart. So if a woman knows what she's doing, you know, she will be able to kiss the penis and give fellatio in a certain way. If this man had a heart issue, to heal his heart, to heal his lungs, to heal his pancreas, his spleen, whatever, you know? So the science is deep. And because we got so far off from looking at the sacredness of sexuality, we look at it as, oh, it's dirty. Oh, you know, this person, she doesn't need to, you know, have so much sexual energy like that, or she's being a whore, or, you know, it is a double standard, and I can't stand it, and it sucks, you know, that we live in a culture where a man can express himself sexually, whereas a woman, she's a whore. You know, that shit is whack. And I mean, that shit sucks, you know? And yes, it's a responsible way of being able to wield that sexual energy, not playing with people's emotions, you know, not playing the mind games and stuff, because it brings up so much stuff when you deal with the sexual energy. But if you approach it in a mature manner, then it could be very healing and it could be very beautiful, you know? And that's why we even have the talk of like even having more than one partner and polygamy and polyandry and all these things. I think all these things are coming to the surface because people are even questioning what relationships look like. All these things are being up for question. And I think those things were even being questioned even in the 60s, you know, with the hippie movement, you know, free love and all that. These things were being questioned. Because I remember, and there's nothing wrong even having with one solid partner. There's nothing wrong. I mean, what works for you works for you. And if it works for another person, if they have more than one partner or play, don't hate on them. They're happy and it works for them. This is your journey. This is about you, not anybody else, not how this person does it or that person does it because it's a fad or anything. No. Find out what works for you. This is your journey. All right. But I remember reading one book by Jovilio Melchizedek, and he's that guy that wrote that book, The Secret Flower of Life, which is a really dope book. It has like a purple type of cover, and it has the tree of the flower of life on there. But he wrote another book talking about the various chakra points on the planet. Um, and what was interesting, he talked about the heart center of the planet, our planet. And I think he was talking about, and again, before I go there, oh no, I'll go there afterwards. But I remember, I don't know if it was the Polynesian people or near the Fiji Islands, I forget exactly. But these people had a open area of lovemaking, a sacred shrine, temple place for them to switch partners, like once a month or what have you. And it would be a connection. They had their soul partner, right? But also they recognized that they would sometimes that person would see something in the auric field of another person. And they would say, oh, this person has medicine for me. And the exchange of energy on a level of sexuality, that night would be a special night for that person to be with that person, that other person. All right. And I remember Javilio Melchizedek in his book was saying, well, don't they get jealous, or doesn't there this type of thing comes up? And the people was like, no, because they didn't approach relationships, first of all, from a level of ownership. He's mine. That's my man. Or that's my woman. Mine. Same thing even with our children. You know, we don't own our children. We are the vessels for them to come through us. And we are their guardians and our protectors. But we don't own our children. You know? There's a lot of possessiveness. Mine, my children, my man, my community, my people. You know? Very funny. I find that very hilarious. And it takes time for people to get out of that mindset if they want to. But especially when you live in a very materialistic culture, it's kind of hard, you know, because if you're grown up in a certain way to look at life in a certain way of this is how it's operated, it might take time for you to be more easy with yourself on a level of possessiveness, for instance, you know? So it's all good. Either way, no matter where we're at mentally, spiritually, whatever, you're at the perfect place where you're at. All right. And be proud of yourself and be okay with yourself and hug yourself every day. Tell yourself every day, I love me some me. I love me some me. You know what I mean? We need to talk about more self-love within this community, because once you do that, all those other things will fall in place. Okay? That's something I always understand with these teaching plants and fungi. They give you a sense of gratitude, a sense of self-love, a sense of like, oh, I'm okay. I'm really okay with myself. I'm okay for the so-called wrinkles and the gray hairs that are coming, or the little pot belly that's coming out, the little baby fat, or whatever. You know, I don't have to look like the supermodel that I see on TV every day. I love how I look. I love me. I love this type of aspect of me, or whatever. Okay? And I'm not saying there's not room for improvement, because there's always room for improvement. But also, don't be so hard on yourself. Love yourself. Because we have society that tells us every day that we're not worthy, that we're not good enough, that we're not perfect enough, or anything, you know? So be easy with yourself. And like, oh my God, it brings up a Bufo session I had with this woman the other day. She's a psychotherapist, real nice woman. There was a point in her Bufo experience where she had this type of blockage going on with her, right? So I was called to use the tuning forks with her, and she's like, it's in my cheeks. And she says, it's so deep, and it's so icy. And she was going through what she was going through. And her child self came out. And this side of her, this childlike self of her came out and said, it's okay. It was literally Like her child self was talking to her adult self, and her child self was like, "It's okay. It's okay if you don't let it all go, if you don't let it all go today. You have another time to still work on it." And her, I swear to God, she was using her left hand to stroke her right hand, and this childhood self was like stroking her, like just comforting her. It was amazing. And I see that come out ever so often. It was another person I was working with, the Bufo. This guy, after he went through his screaming and his and all this other stuff, he jumped up, and you should have seen the look in his eye. It was like a look of curiosity, amazement, everything combined in one. Like he was reborn again. Everything was fresh. Everything was new. And he was like, and he was jumping up and down. And, the brother even gave me a good hug. I was like, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. And it was like, he was like skipping. Everything was like, and it was beautiful to see that. Sometimes I had one person at one of the ceremonies say that she does an altar to her child self. She puts a picture of her when she was a young person, and she nourishes that child self of hers, that level where the world could still be magical, that the world could be a place of discovery, So, yeah, I'm thinking about even doing that too, because there's times where, where the trauma happens, where there's a part where the world doesn't seem like it's a safe place anymore for us, And don't get me wrong, there is negative forces out there and different things, but also when you become enlightened, you know that you go beyond all those things. There's places and dimensions and places of frequency where the vibration is so high that it goes beyond the games. It goes beyond the games of the rape, pillage, and all the other craziness, So we gotta go back to that. We gotta go back home. All right. So, and also too, I was gonna say something about chakra. One of my friends, good friends, teacher Acacia, and even Baba Kalindi would say, well, there's a different word when we say chakra. Chakras was really used as divine, multiverse, multi-dimensional weapons, used in the multiverse to combat when you're on your warrior status. All right. So we have to even re-examine what we think of this thing of a word called chakras. Yes, people have blockages, and yes, there's meridian channels and nadis that roll through our body. But when we look at the term chakra, it was actually something the Lord Krishna would use at the tip of his finger as a interdimensional weapon to deal with when it would come down to interdimensional battles. So, and that goes into the mudras too. And I just started learning a lot more about the spontaneous mudras when I started going in deeper with Aya and even in one of my Iboga, as well. So yeah, it was very interesting. So I'm gonna cut off. I'm gonna call it. I'll leave it off right here. I probably missed my class. I'm gonna have to say sorry, Acacia. Man, I was a bad student today. I didn't stay in class today. I decided to sit and build with the people. But I know she'll understand, and I hope y'all enjoyed the build that I had with y'all. May look at this comment here. Somebody speaking in another language here. It says G sut rave di tu voran en live. Okay. Maybe you could explain that to me, my friend. I appreciate it. AC said is a good idea to shroom. Is a good idea to shroom during the pandemic? Yeah, well, again, use your intuition with anything. I'm not one to say this is what you should do, this is what you should not do. This is your journey, my friend. So you have to exercise your intuition and see what's good for you. That's what's good for you. There was people at the retreats, some of the retreats that decided to still hold on to their mask, you know, different things is whatever makes them uncomfortable. I don't want people to feel uncomfortable on whatever they're going through and how they view this pandemic. I know every time I do rapé, I clean the all my tools, you know, to make sure it's clean and stuff. And then there's some people that have their own opinion about this pandemic. Some people think it's staged. Some people think there's other things going on. I would have to say, form your own opinion on that and see where you stand with that. All right. What else? Because I find it that funny that Donald Trump had the COVID, and next thing you know, he's good. Like, wait, it was 4 days later or whatever. He's like, oh yeah. By the way, I'm good now. So, you know, there's a lot going on. My friends, and there's a shifting of consciousness going on. So we have to just be aware of that. All right. When is the next retreat? 720 Blend says. So excited I found you. We would like to have a call with you. How can we connect? I will give my contact once again. And 1 second, sister. The next retreat, I believe, is with Sister Abundance Child. She invited us out to Milwaukee, I believe. So we're gonna be doing that out there. Also, I have my good friend, Brother Sufi, Sheikh Sufi, that is out of Philly. I think he wants to join us too. So it's awesome. I love when Sufi comes to the retreats with us, because we really get into the chanting. We get into this ecstatic chanting, especially when we come down from the medicine, and it's so beautiful. And also know the importance of chanting when you're out in the multiverse. When you feel like you're having a bad trip or things are going a little haywire, understand the power of sound, understand the power of vibration, knowing that there's certain chants that you could do to stabilize yourself or to go into your higher self as a manifestation of that deity. All right. I've been chanting for years from various traditions, and you just find out what particular chants or hekkas or words of power work for you. Also, too, we did a real cool dance. I forgot to tell y'all. The last retreat, I started putting on, and when people were coming down from the mushrooms, I started putting on the soul jams. I started it off with Whitney Houston, The Greatest Love of All. I got a download one time that, because we have to understand that some of these celebrities or some of these actresses or musicians and stuff, a lot of them are direct incarnations of these particular deities, right? We all are. We're all, because again, we all divine. Yet at the same time, you could see it very clearly through their mannerisms, their music, and all that. So we can't look at the human Whitney or the, caught up in whatever she was caught up at the time going through her human drama, but look at who she really was on a higher frequency level. And I learned that from up high, she's Mama Aset. She's Mama Aset. She's Mama Isis. She's that archetypical energy of Yamaya. And it was clearly shown to me when I was on a very high dose of mushrooms, and she came to me and she, introduced and told me who she was. And I was like, well, how be goddamn? And she told me certain songs to play that want to activate certain things within a person. So if you ever want to activate your heart chakra, play the song while you're on the medicine, The Greatest Love of All. It's talking about opening up your heart chakra, learning to love yourself and stuff. And I played that song at the retreat, and then I played I'm Every Woman by her with Shaka Khan. Oh my God. It was amazing to see all these women get up in their goddess state and do their dance, and it was amazing. I was like, whoa, I was like, I felt like a fly on the wall, just observing, seeing this. I was getting goosebumps and everything because it like all the women at that point seemed like they were channeling all the women throughout the cosmos. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. So it was great. During the retreat, we definitely incorporate um, sacred dance. I feel dancing is so important on a healing level because it gets you out of your mind, it gets you out of your intellect, out of your head, and gets you into your body. And it allows you to say, "Oh, is anybody looking at me? Am I dancing right?" And all that. No, it's going into that childlike self again, just enjoying yourself. So we definitely do that a lot too. So okay. So I'm still don't have the date for that, for the date when Abundance Sister Abundance Child wants us to come out and do that. But get at me. Um and when you get at me, I have my whole team. I'm gonna put you in contact with Sister Ashma. She's one of the secretaries that handle all the paperwork, making sure there's no contraindications with the medicine because not everyone can take the medicine, especially if you're on um, pharmaceutical medicine. If you are taking certain medicines, certain things will conflict with certain medicine. All right. If you have heart issues, I wouldn't advise certain people to be taking certain medicines like Bufo, or if people have like blood thinners, I wouldn't advise people to take combo or even or heart medicine if you have heart issues with um you know to take combo or different things. So we have to check in with you and to make sure where you're at health wise because I want to make sure everyone's safe and also to make sure if you can take if you are taking certain medications, if you're on certain medications and you do want to take medicine and we do see it as safe, then there's a period of time where you have to get off the medicine. All right. Maybe about 2 weeks or so before you go into the ceremony. So I'll be taking, when you get in contact with me, I will be having you get in contact with my team, and we'll be taking a application on where you're at, where you stand health wise, where you stand mentally. So to make sure you can be able to handle this, and if this is something for you, all right, because I want to make sure everyone's safe in the ceremony, and want to make sure everyone's supported, all right. But my info, you could take this down. My info is I'm on Facebook under Abdul, ABDUL, Wilkins, WILKINS. That's the best way to kind of contact me. Um, you can message it. You can send me a message in that, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. All right. Or you can email at Love Mother Earth at no Love Mother Earth 33 number 33. You don't spell it out. Number 33 at gmail.com. Okay. I usually check my Facebook messages more than my email, but I will check my email and just bear in mind I have a busy schedule sometimes. I got two little ones. They keep me busy. Um, I'm taking a Acacia's class, and she does that 2 times in the morning and from 9 to 11 and at night from 9 to 11. So I'm like back in school right now, and just busy with my other things that I have to do too. So just bear in mind, I'll try to get back to you when I can. And so that's one way to contact me. And when we establish that contact, I'll get your number and I'll feel you out to make sure you fit to see if you're a good fit for this what we're trying to do here. Okay. Um, let me see what else here. Any more comments here? Let's see. So excited to find you. Would like to have a call when we connect. Okay, I read that. And William Cook says, "Hey, Coyote Prophet, Papa Sufi here. I see you. Cool, cool. That's what's up. We got some laughing going on here. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you in live. All right. Word. That's what's up. Drop Squad Kitchen Abundance. You already know, AC, man. Listen, when we go to that retreat, boy, oh boy, I just want to sit down and eat some of that good food that Abundance be making. You know what I mean? Listen, I was at the what was it? The Ascension conference that was in Brooklyn, and got all the good, all Red Pill there was there, Blue Pill was there, KT the Arch Degree was there. Had my homie, great lyricist, what's his name? I gave him Bufo. I gave him combo sacred tobacco medicine for the first time. He's an ill MC. I forget his name. He just came out with an album called LSD. I can't forget. Oh yeah, Kambada. Kambada. Yeah, he was there too, and it was great. And even the dude that wrote that new book, the Emerald Tablets. He's one of the few people of color on Gaia TV. I got a chance to meet him there for the first time. Brilliant guy. He was from my MIT. Real smart individual. He knows how to translate the Sumerian text. I can't forget. I don't know his name right now. Well, it'll come to me. But anyways, yeah, I remember I was there, and Abundance Child was there. Oh yeah, Billy Carson. Yeah, that's the fella's name, Billy Carson. Really interesting guy. Abundance Child was there, and I had her food for the first time. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, the food was making love to my tongue there. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so good. I can't believe it. And listen, I got put on to the fried chicken using the mushrooms as fried chicken. Oh my goodness, crazy. And another one, I got to bigger up. Sister Ashma. She had a interview the other day. She has a cookbook called what's the name of her cookbook? Foodgasm or something like that. But check her out. She's one of our main organizers on my team for the retreats. Sister Ashma. On Facebook, her name is Hija Hija Moon Goddess Pachamama. You want to check her out and holler at her and say, hey, I've seen this live with Dooley. I want to do a retreat in my town, and she'll be the one to organize it. And she'll do all the logistics along the lines of how many people minimum max we need, working out the price and all that. Because this is a lot of Europeans, they can afford. A lot of them could go to the jungle to experience this and stuff. But we're trying to make this affordable for particularly our folk, people of color here in the hood, throughout America, different places that normally we wouldn't. Some of these people that would have to throw down a couple of racks to get out and experience this, to have experience this in your own neck of the woods. So we're trying to make that happen, to make that available for folks. And it's exciting. It's exciting. I mean, the universe is finally pushing me out of my comfort zone, because I was doing this for a long time in Boston, because I'm from I'm from Beantown. So I would do this for my neck of the woods, but people was like, Dooley, we need you. We need you. We love your energy. We want you to come out into our city and do your thing. So I'm kind of getting y'all pushing me. So it's like, so I'm finally doing, it's Hija, Hijada Moon Goddess Pachamama, or something like that. Look up. So now we're on the road. We're hitting the road now. Okay. So we could come to your neck of woods, and I'm also part of the Native American Church, so I could have my own protection under under the constitutional law, just understand that this is part of my culture. I do have native blood. The original people of Boston, the Charmant people, you know, and on my father's side, particularly, is definitely Cherokee and stuff. So I hold towards my tradition and my native heritage. And under constitutional law, we have a right to practice our own cultural spirituality and stuff. So I have all my paperwork and all those things that hold me down along that lines. And if they want to bring it on that level. All right. So, yeah. So, let's see here. Hope you will something this video after the live. Share. Yes, I am going to share this video. Okay. And I'm not a big technology person, so I need to get on Instagram. I do have an Instagram account. I think it's Third My Spirit. But it took me a lot, y'all, to even get on this thing. Like for the longest time, even trying to get a page. I believe I have a page. A friend set it up for me. Yeah, it should be under. I don't know if it's Dooley Wilkins or look under Abdul K. Wilkins or something. But yeah, so you might find some of my old videos on there. And I'm growing. I'm growing each time the more I do this work. So some of the things that I used to see as the gospel or used to hold as my truth is not usually my truth anymore. As you grow with this medicine thing, you're constantly changing. And you're, especially with the medicine work, because you're evolving so fast with this. Who I was a month ago, a week ago, is not who Dooley was. You know, so an old video of who Dooley was back then, you'll see the change in me. You'll see even the change in my work field. So constantly changing, constantly evolving. And I have a lot of gratitude for that. I remember even when I was on a show with Brother Panic one time, and he interviewed me one time. And it was funny because Panic was like, basically try to clown me. And I got love for everyone, even Panic, man. He brought a lot of things to the table, especially in his early years with Bobby Hemmett. And I remember he's like, well, he ain't no shaman if he got attacked by this thing. And he's totally right. I don't call myself a shaman. I don't even like that term. People started calling me that in the street because I started starting up cars on the street with my energy. And I started learning that through my Qigong and Reiki practice. But it was funny. He was trying to clown me. And, hey, clown me all you want. I need my ego chipped away. But it was funny because I was sharing in his show how my mother, this particular lower dimensional being came through my mother. And she actually was hugging me, right? And I was vulnerable. I didn't know it at the time. I would never do what I did now, looking back. You know, make sure you always have your place set up. You know, and make sure your place is set up to be able to make sure everything is suitable for you before you start having that experience with the medicine. So I didn't have my sage. I didn't have certain things set up to be able to support my mother in that. I knew I was good, but I didn't have things supported for her. And I remember, I remember this being came into my apartment, and they tried to jump in me and mess with me. But by that time, I was already, used to dealing with certain lower dimensional entities and how to go about that. So my mom, God rest her, she transitioned. At the time, she's like, Dooley, she's like, Abdul, there's a negative spirit in our apartment here, da 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 da. And I was like, Ma, I know, I'm aware of it, I'm good. And I use different elements for cleansing. So I went into the shower And, you know, I used sacred water to deal with it, cleanse myself, and I didn't feel it on me. So I went into, um, I went into the living room, and it was like a son mother moment. I gave my mom a hug, and next thing I know, I felt my mother draining me of my life force energy. And it felt just like that character Rogue from X-Men, where she take the gloves off and she'll touch you and she'll zap you of your energy. Felt just like that. So I kind of jerked away from my mom and I fell on the floor. I felt completely drained. And it was so deep because at that moment, I could feel my mother still there. But at the same time, I felt this entity that she was battling with. And by the way, my mother was considered schizophrenic. All right. So there was a lot growing up. I seen a lot where my mother was very on point, like channeling some very deep stuff. And then there was times where there was lower dimensional parasitic beings on her. And I would know when they would be because her eyes would change. And I was like, oh man, they at mom again. And it was hard because I had to do a lot of healing around that because, you know, it was at one point in time where me and my mom was smoking a joint. And she told me, you know, when the courts got involved, because she said that she tried to kill us, you know. And she's just saying that she didn't want us to go through what she went through. And you have to understand, again, a lot of traditions, even a lot of indigenous traditions, people we would deem as bipolar or schizophrenic, a lot of times they're not, you know, chemically imbalanced per se, but a lot of times these are medicine men and women who were picked to take that role and are born in families or societies where they don't have the support system for that. So they're totally open and and even Acacia would share that with us in their class, saying that, you know, even children with autism, their brain chemistry is totally different. You know, these people that we call schizophrenic or whatever, they release a bigger amount of DMT in their brain than your normal individual. So these people are in constant Bufo mode, all right? And it's kind of hard for them, especially if they don't come from a culture where they support people on that level, you know? And, you know, the psychologists and these doctors and them, they're not tuned into the spirit world. So they give them this medication, which kind of even makes it more worse for them. They're feeling sluggish. Now they're feeling totally out of it and all that, you know? And quick, I'm going to go back to what I'm saying with my mom too. But I don't know if y'all seen that movie and made a perfect example of that. What's the name of the movie? It was Doctor Who. I think it was called Doctor Who. It was a prequel to The Shining. I didn't know it was a prequel to The Shining when I was first watching it. And that movie is badass. And it's basically this woman and her crew that are feeding off the life force energy of these people and stuff. And they live very long and all that. Very deep movie. This one black girl, she kicks her ass, this white lady in this movie. It was deep. And just whoever did that movie, I knew they was doing their homework, because just on how you go into your subconscious and how it can look like a room and all that. It's deep, real deep. Try to go through her subconscious files and all that. I was like, whoever made this movie knows what they're doing. But there was a scene in that movie where the woman says, she's talking about the generation we're living in right now. She says, the life force that we feed off of now is not strong like it used to be. And she was making reference to the fake food we're having, all that. And she said, and especially the special ones, meaning these shamans that don't even know they're shamans, and how they're giving them this medication, dumbing them down, thus lowering their frequency. And when they slipped that in that movie, I was like, ooh-wee. whoever's doing their homework on this movie. So that was just a side note of me just talking about these medications and dumbing these people down that are open. But my mom was considered schizophrenic, and anybody that knows my mom, she was like a living saint. She was deep, 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 deep. My mom had her death date in one of her journals. It fucked with one of my sister's heads, because one of my sisters, I have two sisters. One of them is really into the religion and into the Islam, and she didn't know what to do when we seen that in her journal. She had the date, the time of her death written in her joint. My mom was deep. But when that was happening to my mom, when that parasitic entity got in her, I fell on the ground. I never had a seizure in my life. I was starting to have a seizure, right? When my mom touched me. Because my mom was like, again, I could see, because I seen the entity that was on her. Because my third eye was totally open at that moment. And it was like this being overlapping her. So I could still see my mom, but I seen in her auric field this one overlapping her. And it looked like this old white man. He had a patch on his eye, and he did not have human hands. He looked like he had claw type of, like 3 type of fingers that had these big claws and different things. It was deep. So that was the being that was working for her at that time. When I laid out on the floor, my mom was still trying to help me, even though they still had this being in her. And she said to my children's mother at the time, who was saying, she says, put a blue cloth over him to protect him. Yo-Yo went to get the blue cloth, and I could feel my mom putting the blue cloth over me. And as soon as she did it, more energy left my body, right? The final time that she touched me was like, she said, all he needs is love. And when she touched me the last time, that's when I started going into a seizure. And I screamed out with the last bit of energy I had and said, Ma, don't touch me. And she got off me. And at that point, Yo-Yo took me in another room, and I was purging. I was throwing up without throwing up. And I was doing that for a hot minute, man. It was crazy, almost a couple of hours. Whatever that being tried to put in me, I was getting it out through this energetic purge. And the next day, my mom was in tears, and she was like, I'm so sorry, son. You know, these beings came for me, and they know who you are. You know, they wanted me to kill you, you know, and it was deep, you know. And I remember I shared that on Panic Show. I remember Panic was like, man, I never had, she said, you was the most livest guest I ever had. I remember he told me that. He said that. And he said, but when I said about that situation about my mom, he tried to clown me. And it's all good, you know. I don't hold that nothing against nobody, you know. But he has to understand, and his viewers that had to understand that they caught me off guard because that was my mom. They caught me slipping, you know. And I learned something from that situation. Some things that I would never slip again, you know, just certain things. And I learned so much since that time, you know what I mean, of how to handle certain situations like that, be it sound, be it mudras, be it different things that I use as my arsenal when it comes down to lower frequency beings. Because these things are parasites. It's just like when you don't eat well and you have parasites in your body that will literally eat all your nourishments and all different things. There's like parasites, there's certain beings that are very vampirish, you know what I mean? And they will try to live off of you, you know? It's deep. It gets deep sometimes, you know? But when you claim your sovereign status, when you claim your I am presence, ain't nobody could do shit to you, you know? And I remember at the time I was trying to learn more about Palo Maambe, because I was like, maintain Panic's class to figure that out. And I realized I knew all that stuff within myself anyway. You know, at the end of the day, you realize that everything is within you. And you don't have to go through anyone to learn that, you know? And then on top of that, I started having official Palo priests come to me anyway. So we attract everything that we need. You know, it's all at the tips of your hand. This elder was he was part of, not only dealt with Apollo, but also was a priest within the Betwe tradition, and was one of the elders that gave me my first Iboga ceremony. And I'll never forget, he had his Palo Maambe shrine there, and they, you know how they do. They have their pot there, they have the bones there, everything looking super creepy. These beings started talking to me, and they started saying they were the ancient ones. They was like, yeah, we the ancient dark ones. And they first had to say, who are you? I said, well, they speak to you telepathically. I was like, I'm Dooley. Well, some people call me Brother Dooley. And then we had this whole conversation with me and these Palo Maambe beings, So it's all at your hand, man. It's like it's all within you. Even on the tip of the Ifa tradition, all that. When I started dealing with the ayahuasca, one of these sisters from Brazil, and from that tradition of how they rock with the ayahuasca, they incorporate the orishas within it. So there was plenty of times in ceremony where the orisha, I would go into the orisha state, and Shango would come over me, or Yamaya would come over me, or this one would come on over me. I'll never forget when Baron Samadhi came over me, and the whole room turned into a graveyard, and I started doing this dance that I never did before, but it was associated with Baron Samadhi. And I looked at myself, and I seen myself with the top hat, I had the skeleton face and all that. So it's all within you. And you don't necessarily have to go through an initiation to be tapped into it. It's good to know the ins and outs of things, but it's not necessarily needed because it's within you. It's within you from your bloodline, from your past lives, and all that. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with y'all, man. And may see if there's any other comments here. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Shamat, that is a real boss, and very much so, William Cook. Have a potion of Bufo, and I need a shaman. Okay, well, let's get together, Sun Kofa Sarah, man. We gotta get this together, my friend. They stopped traveling. Okay, I don't know what that means, but okay. COVID. You can farm. I don't know what farm. Can you farm? What you mean by that? So Sun Kofa sound. Farm. Okay. Yeah, he clowned me. Yeah, thanks, Brother Panic. Because you know what? It's interesting. When I used to sit with the lamas from Tibet, they used to tell you all the time, I don't want nobody putting me up on a pedestal. They used to all to say they hate when people compliment them, because all that does is just feed their illusionary self, their ego. All right, and they don't. And these brothers who are serious on their mission with their spirituality, they didn't want nobody putting more pride and egotistical stuff in there in them. A lot of the lamas and the Rinpoches would say all the time, I need more people to put me down. chip at my ego, because if somebody insult me and I still have some feeling of how dare he say this about me, that shows that they have still a lot of work to do. So keep the clowning going for me, Brother Panic. You're one of my good teachers on that level. Thank you. Yeah, Dooley ain't shit. Thank you, Brother Panic. So yeah, they would tell you all the time, I don't want nobody bigging me up like I'm something important. I know that we're all one, and I know the only thing that exists is Great Spirit. So who's to think that I'm Mr. So and so? I'm Mr. So and so, and I know all this, and I'm better than you. That's bullshit. And if you find somebody that think they on that, walk the other way, y'all. You know what I mean? Because this is about self realization. All right. Um. He on Kalindi and Soul Clown on Kalindi and Soul Clown. I'm trying to see what this person say. He on Kalindi and Soul Clown to Crossroads. Yeah, he tried to say something about Kalindi. Yeah, and Kalindi, when I spoke to Kalindi, Kalindi wasn't. Come on, man. The elder wasn't even phased by that. Where Kalindi goes and what Kalindi about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He didn't even comment on it. He's like, whatever. People are gonna be people, and they're gonna do what they do. And sometimes people say things because they want more viewings and stuff, and that's on his own journey. It's not my journey, but I know Kalindi, very stand-up man. There was a lot of people within his camp that felt very, very. They felt disrespected that he came out the elder like that. You know what I mean? Because he was, especially on the level of saying a drug user and all that. And it's just because people did not know the background. Sometimes at the time when I first went on Panic's show and I was talking about mushrooms and stuff, let's keep it a buck. Panic wasn't familiar with the mushrooms. Even Khadijah, she wanted some, and like behind closed doors, he was trying to block that before he was open to it. And there's some things I know behind closed doors that there's no need for me to even say. This is people's own journey. But again, it's not until people start to realize that these things are beneficial, that and that they can help folk, that they see that, hey, maybe I should check it out. But everything, not everyone has the answers, man. We do, but at the same time, we're all learning until we go into that place of real self-realization. Again, I know certain people that have made it. You know what I mean? When I talk about Miller Repper, hands down, I call him a master. You know what I mean? Like the brother could turn himself into a giant, could fly, could turn shapeshift, all kinds of things. He accomplished the rainbow body. One of my ceremonies where we did the Bufo, and it was a brother that came to the ceremony. He walked. He came straight from the daggone rehab. He had a stroke. I put it on my Facebook page. It was recorded. We seen him walk through the medicine. Not only walk, the dude started hopping and picking up speed around his tree. And his mother, who passed away, I seen her right beside him, cheering him on. And that Bufo experience was deep, because that was the real. That's when I realized the potential of Bufo. You know what I mean? And at that point, I was going deeper with it, because spirits tell me, no, you gotta go deeper, take more to what we're gonna do here. Because at that moment, I realized that it wasn't even about the healing with him. My macabre started to open up, y'all. I will never forget that. The macabre, at least from my experience, it has a bluish white hue to it. And it started opening from the bottom and up. There was a couple of agents that tried to stop that from happening. You know, because time travel, they got time travel machines and all that. We already know about Philadelphia experiment and all that. So they try to stop your boy before even that was going to happen. I ain't got to name the names or nothing, but it was deep. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, this person come out of the woodworks when my joint's about to open. I had to stop the ceremony, tell this individual, man, you can't stand over here. You know? Then I had to go back into medicine. Even the night before, this one particular person came and tried to put a spell over my back. And when I was doing the medicine, I was like, my joint was jammed. I was like, why isn't the energy not flowing out my hands like correctly right now? Why isn't my voice, because I use my voice a lot for healing, why is it not coming out? And then I realized while people were sleeping and while I was trying to doze off, this particular girl took one of the shaman's rattle and was doing some sneaky stuff over people's backs, particularly mine. It was deep. But I had to take the medicine because that Bufo is a very high frequency, broke that curse, broke that little code. You know what I mean? Then they try to send this other person, so that person get to stepping, got back into ceremony. Joint started to open up. It was a couple of people that witnessed. Beam of light went through my head. And when it went through my head, it started to thunder. Swear to God. You know what I mean? And it was no daggone on the forecast of saying any thunder or raining or anything that day in Boston. And it was a dread. This Rasta man, I seen the whole thing. Later, after the whole ceremony, he came out. He said, man, you started thunder out here. And when the thunder started, only thing I could describe, the expansiveness of the energy went throughout the cosmos. It was something that was done for the earth that day. It wasn't about that brother's healing. Yes, it was for him healing to get out of that wheelchair and walk. But also, it was something for the earth that day as well. And also, I know it's strong. I don't really try to say this so much, but one of these reptilian ships was taken down through that experience as well. You know? It's deep, man. And I'm not here to say I'm better than anyone or I know anything more than anyone. No, man. I'm just trying to stay in my heart place, man. And learn to stay from that place. That's all I'm trying to do. Chip away at the stuff that I don't need. You know? Because we all can do it. All right? So may just read this comment and get going because I gotta get going. All right? You was dealing with that early, like he just catching up to it. Okay. Funny, Panic just spoke on his mom's mental illness and similar light. Yeah, because Panic doesn't know, man. Me and him have a very similar energy. If he holds the trickster energy just like I do. I'm a child of Ishu, or Legba. I always like that. That's why when I first met Panic, I was laughing to myself. I was like, this dude, he's like an older version of me in some ways. Not to say we're exactly alike, because we're not. But there was a lot of things in my journey that I could really resonate with the brother. We both have mothers that was considered mentally ill. And I believe Panic was saying that his mother dealt with the LSD that really triggered some stuff for his mom. So, which is similar to my mom. She was popping a lot of acid back in the 60s, doing Kundalini yoga. And also my other sister, Nefi, her father used to beat my moms, hit over the head with baseball bats and shit. All kinds of stuff that was very traumatic for my mom, which I think triggered the schizophrenia. But I could tell there was a lot of fear around entheogens and psychedelics with Panic because of his past experience with his mom. So I get it. You know what I mean? But once homie started to see how beneficial it was, I knew he was going to fly with it. You know what I mean? Because it's good medicine, So, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's what else here? That's such a crazy story. Reached out to you via messenger. Okay, thank you. I had a time travel episode in a dream of mine about 3 months ago. quite amazing. Yeah, I'll tell you another time because I got to go. But there was a time that one brother that I met at the Detroit psychedelic conference who talked about his time traveling experience and to such a detail that it blew his mind when it came to years later because he's seen the vision of at the time his children that he didn't have at the time, his several wives that he had at the time, and it all made sense when he walked out the door running to work and he dropped his lunch bag or whatever, and it was a super deja vu moment. So, and it all happened in his meditation when he first learned how to meditate. So, time travel is definitely real. Yeah, all these things are real. I mean, I had a friend I met that stopped time with using the Zohar, the Kabbalah mystic, teaching. She used the Zohar, chanted a certain thing with the Zohar, literally stopped time. She was at work. It was like everyone froze. She was walking by people, all that. In a couple of seconds of time frozen, and next thing you know, all of a sudden people back at it again. So you have to understand these are some high sciences that we have, and there's plenty of people in the know-how, that want to use it for their own benefit and keep everybody in the dark, So, it's the shifting times now. Like I said, everything has a season. I met a brother who made it the rain stop in mid. I mean, he was like with his lady, he was smoking a blunt. It was raining. He just had the thought, rain stop. It would stop, and he would make it rain again. Then make it stop again. So again, there's so much to us again that we're not aware of, and we have divine potential. We have power within us. It's just that we fell for the game to think that we don't, and it's time for the first thing I would advise anyone first is to deal with your trauma. So you don't bring all that stuff in the multiverse. Deal with your trauma, deal with your pain. I had a lot of mama issues. That's why a lot of times I was attracting the same type of women over the years. I was subconsciously looking for my mom, because I didn't grow up with my mom. The courts got involved in stuff when they seen a burn mark on one of my sister's foot, So subconsciously, I was looking for my mom. You know what I mean? And so we have to understand that we have to look. We have to look. Do the shadow work first, and do some of the heavy duty work before we start to go in deeper with embracing your God self, your goddess self. Okay, but I really have to go. I didn't mean to be talking this long. I'm supposed to be at a meeting now, so I'm like, okay, I gotta go, my friends. But may I just read the last comments. Thank you for your video. They are amazing. Learned so much from you. You're quite welcome, Michael. And again, love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. Be easy with yourself. All right. So let me get going. Hopefully, I can find my hoppe pipe before I leave. And I hope y'all have a great day, great evening, whatever time you're watching. Okay. Peace and love. I'll take care. Let me see how I exit out this damn thing now. Okay.